Hello and welcome to the Better Business Podcast. My name is Alexei. I am your host, and today I have a very special guest and a friend of mine, Daniel Roberts. Hey, Daniel, how you going?
Alexei, thanks for having me.
All right, Daniel is a business owner that I personally find quite interesting in the way he thinks and what he does. So, Daniel, tell us a little bit about what you do, your business, and I guess that's how that's all come about.
Yeah, so we run a family business called Securelux, which is a Crimsafe licensee for South East Queensland. So I've been involved in it pretty much since I left school, and it's a third generation business. So we've been working together as a family since 2007, and that's obviously had many different transitions. So when I was first there was 5 members. We're now up to 34. So
Wow.
all of our roles have sort of, I guess, had to evolve and change as we go. So now, some of us are working on still the everyday functions, but we're spending more and more time, I guess, improving and fine-tuning the business. But in terms of our offering to customers, we offer, Crimsafe residential, commercial, and wholesale when required. And we've got a couple of other products, but we do the whole process from sale, manufacture, right through to install and after service.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, the Crimsafe product is those super tough screens that basically go over your windows, and it's a great solution for insects and also intruders, such as thieves as well. So it's a pretty high-end solution. So in terms of your business, and obviously there's been quite a lot of growth, where do you sort of stand in the Southeast Queensland right now? Are you sort of like within the top 5, top 3, or where is your business situated in terms of market dominance?
Well, I believe last that I heard, we're number one in terms of residential sales of Crimsafe. So a lot of that's got to do with the fact that we focus on security as it's, as the core sort of function. We're not sort of attaching it to a blind shutter company or, like a glazing company. So our future lies in the security space. So we're just constantly focusing on that. So Crimsafe's at the front of our mind when we're selling to customers.
That's great. So you've got a great product, and you also offer a solution for security. I think that's really smart, because a lot of people, when they offer their services, they look specifically at their product as just a product, not as a solution. So I think that's a big winner right there. Okay, so tell us a little bit about working with the family. I mean, I hear a lot about family-owned businesses and so on. It must be quite a challenge there. And obviously, if you've been doing it across 3 generations for so long, I mean, what are some of the challenges, and what are some of the tips that you may potentially share with some of our listeners in relation to working in a family business?
Yeah, no, definitely. So I think from a lot of businesses that I guess go through that process of starting out as a sole trading business and then sort of, they get really good reputation, then build into something bigger. They quite often bring on family members to help, fill that capacity, or, play to different strengths and stuff to give an overall solution. So, that might be say a husband bringing the wife on to do the books or something like that. So that's pretty much how our business sort of, I guess, started. We when we left school, me, my brother, my sister, who are all in the business, we all found ourselves in different areas within the business, doing different functions. So we actually found, I guess, that trust plays a big part in business. And I guess you'd hope, if you have a family business, that you've got trust in your family members. So I think that's probably something that we've been able to rely on quite heavily. But in terms of, I guess, the challenges and stuff, I think if you can, you got to be able to set out expectations, because as your business grows, you got to think about not only what you want within the business, but you've got other, family members that have wants and, have different pathways that they want to take. And, you got to then factor that into your decisions and start thinking about it as, well, if I want this, how does that impact everyone else? So I think, spending some time setting out those expectations as soon as possible is probably something I would recommend. try and eliminate the unknown. So, you know, if you turn around and want to go away on holidays for 6 months in 3 years' time, well, what does that look like for you in the business, and what does that look like for the family members? So I think having regular, transparent conversations and trying to align everyone's goals is probably the challenge. But I think if you can get that right, it's also could be a strength.
Yeah, well, it sounds like team culture on completely another level. That's awesome. Well, okay, I guess you're very big on things like implementing systems and processes into your business, and obviously, I think that's been one of the key reasons why your business is growing so much. Can you just maybe take us through a couple of things that could potentially help some business owners when it comes to sort of systemizing and defining processes in order to sort of facilitate that business growth?
Yeah, so I guess everyone in their business gets frustrated when they sort of run into the same problem. And I find quite often, not only in our business, but with other business owners that I speak to, that quite often they're just going, why can't this be simple? Or why doesn't my team get this and get that? So I've always tried to look at learning from your mistakes as quickly as you can, and how much can you control as the business owner. So I think the systems and processes side of it is probably where you can control that, as best as possible. So, we're always looking at ways to, whether it's automation or we've got our own software now. So, put things into that to eliminate the possibility of, a team member making a mistake if it's something that, is repetitive or could be captured. So, and once you do that, it's also, I guess, making sure that you've got, the team's understanding as to the mistake and why it happened. And, if you can probably present it to them with visual aids and try and keep it as simple as possible. I think that's important, because if they don't understand why the mistake's happening, well, you're not going to be able to fix it no matter what, unless you can completely eliminate their component of the process. If you're relying on them to understand it and they don't, you're going to keep running into the same problem. So I find that a lot in our space. And there's so for us, we're building a custom product every day for different customer houses and everything. So say as an example, like a measurer, if they keep making a 2 or 3 mil mistake, every single time you're going to end up with revisits to fix that. So it's so important that they actually know where they're looking. So, we use things like getting photos on every job now. There's magnifying tools and stuff like that to zoom into exactly where you want them to measure, videos, and anything that can be turned into a calculation we put into our software.
That's great. Well, I think overall, the systems and processes the key for you to be able to scale your operation. Because if you work by yourself or you've got a business associate, typically you don't really get to the point where you need to explain these sort of things. And this is where I find a lot of businesses get stuck. They sort of work by themselves. They can handle a lot of work. And then, if they hire somebody else, that's where the problems start to happen. And putting a system in place sometimes seems either too complicated or too simple. People sometimes don't believe the fact that it's really like 10 steps that you got to go through and check and do that, as opposed to basically just do it intuitively and get proper training. I think that is really a bottleneck for a lot of businesses. Sounds like in your case, you've really spread out the whole business into manufacturing, quoting, installations, and then you've got obviously your sales stuff as well. Good on you, mate. I think that's excellent. Is there something else that you can add from the whole structure of the business as to how that sort of help you scale?
Yeah, I think breaking it down into different departments is a big thing, because then you can look at it from the different sides of the business. So for us, like, we find our admin side of the business is quite logical. So they'll take everything you say very logically, where you might have, say, your sales guys, and their attention to detail might be slightly different. So they, you need to make it super simple. Like they'll get lost in the detail. So I think you've got to look at your processes and systems, and make sure you're also aligning it with the team that you have and what they're capable of doing.
Right. So this system that you've put together, you're obviously using it for your business. You and I had a brief chat about it. So the name is WorkerX, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so tell us a little bit about it, and what are we sort of what should we expect in the coming month to sort of see? And I guess who is the system for? I mean, obviously you've made it very specific to the way you do business, and I can certainly think that many other businesses can relate to some of the processes. But who is the system for? And tell us about it.
yeah, so the motivation for starting the system was really my dad. So I looked at him, all the way from growing up right through to the early stages of our business, and I thought to myself, you know, my dad has such a big overall sort of understanding of the business and has to make so many decisions every single day. How can he keep that going, when this business turns from 5 to 35 people to, hopefully one day 50 plus? And so, I started to think about it, and I was like, how cool would it be if there was a tool out there that you could sit there with your morning coffee as a business owner and be able to actually understand your business with data. So, there are tools out there. There's CRMs, Xero as an accounting platform. Like, you can get all the different aspects of your business, but I wanted to create like a one-stop shop for that. So, simple things like, in our factory, we can see the production per person, per team, per day.
Wow.
And understand, like, if we're not hitting certain targets, what is it? Is it the flow of the work? Are we not getting enough for the size team we have? Do we need to look at other avenues to to bring in revenue and stuff to, maybe say wholesale? Like, do we target more wholesale so that we can support the team to hit their targets? So we wanted to create something that I guess was a one-stop shop, so the business could run through there. And it's always going to need to feed through things like Xero for the accounting purposes, but that doesn't mean we can't integrate and make job entry a 10-second job as opposed to a 6 or 7 step thing, because you've got 6 or 7 different platforms doing your project management, your CRM, your accounting. So we wanted to build that, and then we started to look at it from the other side, and we thought, well, the business's purpose needs to be aligned with individuals' purposes as well. So, could we create something potentially where, we could have every single person in our business, from an office person answering the phones to a factory person producing the product, on, have a variable earning potential. So, if they do more than what their sort of base earnings is for the day, could they earn more money by being more efficient? So we thought, well, if we can then be transparent with that and show diagrams, basically have live data throughout the day, are we able to push people to get that 5 or 10% more out of them, knowing that it aligns with their goals of earning more money, from the job that they're doing? So we feel like we're kind of seeing it from both sides and almost being the broker between the business owner and the employee. So our end goal would be to commercialize and target other trades as well, because it is quite customized to security screens at the moment. But there's so many different aspects of it that would be relatable, I think, to business owners.
Yeah, so somebody with a team that's got some clear KPIs and wants to basically focus on things like efficiency and help their team, I guess, be more efficient and benefit from that as well. I think that's excellent. I personally find that it's very difficult to scale your operations because, when you train people, you bring bad and good habits along with your training. And if you delegate it as well, vice versa. I actually had a meeting just with a business owner this morning. He was telling me that he's changed the processes a little bit and started getting a little bit more involved in the setup of the job. And that's actually increased the efficiency of his work by 50%. So it's quite interesting where you can just tweak a few things around and things can really start flying as well. But if you have a system that allows you to support a business on a larger scale, that's excellent, mate. So can't wait to see it live. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well,
there's also, we do have the configurable stage as well. So, people can obviously tailor it to different things. So like even with training, we've got a hint section. So anywhere that you need a hint to pop up, whether it's step-by-step instructions, videos, and all that, it's all going to be there. So, for us, like our measurers, our sales guys, don't have to go and look at a paper manual anymore. They can basically have it pop up on their phone or their iPad. So very exciting.
Well, as a journey, mate, this sounds like Domino Pizza to me. I mean, I'm sure you know the story, but Domino Pizza is no longer a food company. It's an IT company. It's a technology company, and what they've done has allowed them to dominate the entire pizza industry across the whole country. In fact, I actually have some friends who work for Domino's, and it seems like they do things at a completely another level, anywhere from marketing all the way to delivery and the future technologies that are coming up as well. It's absolutely fascinating, mate. So I wish WorkerX, I guess the prosperity that Domino has been able to introduce into the industry from the IT technology perspective. That's excellent, mate.
Yeah, and on Domino's, there was a podcast called Business Wars where they talk about Domino's versus Pizza Hut. It's quite fascinating. It's like a six podcast series, and you can see why Domino's went down that path. So it's quite a good listen.
Sounds good. I got to ask you this. I mean, this WorkerX and what you're doing with the company, where do you get your inspiration from? I mean, surely it's very hard to work in a team environment, especially if it's your family. I mean, you got to get the new ideas from somewhere. You got to develop in some way. Would you recommend any particular books, or is there a coach, or is there something that potentially contributes to your growth and your business growth as well? Where do you get your inspiration from?
I think I don't like to, I guess my motivation is I don't like seeing something incomplete. So that's probably motivated me. And then also the whole idea of everyone should have home security. Because when you walk through those doors, you want it to feel like you're home, right? You don't want to feel like you're going to bed scared and everything like that. So I feel like that's a massive passion and motivation for me, is how do we bring that into everyone's home? And so part of that's getting our customers better educated earlier on in the process so they understand the products and everything like that. So how do you do that? And then that's, I guess, where the software and processes and everything come into it.
Right.
In terms of books, I think I I read one about Pixar. I think it's called Creativity Inc.
Yep.
I think I love those sort of books around culture and getting the team feeling like they're part of the purpose. So, if you can create the vision as a leader, and then align that with the individual's goals and stuff as well, and allow them to open up with their ideas and actually adopt some of them. You're building an ecosystem with these people, so you should all be going in the same direction. So that's a good read.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, there's definitely got to be much more to work if someone's going to spend a third of their life Monday to Friday doing something. So, mate, I think you're spot on there. Now, are there any tips that you can potentially give to any business owners that are thinking to develop their business, or maybe feel a little bit stuck at a certain level or of their business journey? I mean, what tips would you be able to give other business owners based on your experience?
Yeah, no, I think invest in your business. So like, actually seek out professionals in their spaces. So like, as an example for myself, I'm quite across marketing. I studied it, but by no means am I focused on it every day. So that's how you and I connected, was, with marketing, and we've been able to, we haven't looked back ever since, because I've seeked out a professional in that space, and I take on the advice that I'm given. And it's the same with legal and accounting and business advisors. Like, I do think that there's a need for all of them in your business. So also that idea of don't wait for disasters to strike. Like, constantly almost have this forced evolution mentality where if your business relies on installers, and you've got one or two installers, and one of them sort of leaves overnight, you're going to spend months and months getting back to that same spot. So once you find that second person, start thinking about who it is, or how you can start to build your capacity from day one. Don't wait till it's too late. And as a business owner, you don't need to be the specialist in everything, I think. So if you can actually embrace the fact, I think Richard Branson does it quite well, where he sort of says, he's happy to be the dumbest person in the room. So, if you can go into a room as a business owner and be happy that everyone's talking about your business and you don't understand half of it, but it sounds good, that's probably a good thing. So
Yeah, that's great.
don't don't let pride get in your way and embrace it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, personally, I think the whole idea of who, not how, which is what you mentioned, engaging people to help you with certain areas of the business is a huge concept. In fact, there's a book called Who, Not How by Benjamin Harvey. I think I've recommended it a couple of times. I think overall, the idea of getting something done, in the best way possible is really one of the things that a lot of business tend to somehow avoid. And it's not really so much about they don't want to do it. It's more about when you start the business, you seem to have so much free time on your hands, you want to do something. And as you get busier, you have that bad habit of carrying that across and you end up still doing everything yourself, where really half the things should really be delegated. And obviously everyone's got a different skill set as well. It's fair to say if someone studied marketing to give it a good crack, but at the same time, studying something and having practical experience in something of what actually works are two completely different things. Mate, I think you've covered some really, really good points. I really think that WorkerX can make a big difference. So definitely we'll be looking out for something like that. If anybody wanted to connect with you, how would they find you? How can they connect with you?
Yeah, so probably the best place would be on LinkedIn. Just happy for anyone to connect with me. We're gonna be launching a website for WorkerX and trying to, get the software out there mid-year, so June, July. And we'll be offering some consulting with that as well, because not everyone can look at a problem and necessarily find the answer. So if we can sort of help fill that void, that gets me really excited. I'm pretty passionate about giving business owners a fair platform, because sometimes I think they're the unsung heroes. So yeah, quite excited to work with some other businesses and see how we can adopt WorkerX in their business as well.
Sounds good. So guys, if you're looking for Daniel Roberts, Google up Daniel Roberts Securelux, and I'm sure his LinkedIn profile will jump out. Otherwise, check out securelux.com, and I'm sure you'll be able to find contact details and proceed from there. Daniel, thanks very much, mate, for jumping on a webinar like this. I think, from my perspective, I really want to share real business owner stories and experience with other people that are either thinking getting into business or potentially have got a business that they want to fine tune and take to another level, mate. Thank you very much. I think, what you've mentioned so far can definitely provide some good direction, mate. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me on, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, mate.
Bye.